Throughout history, we have been faced with many great thinkers, many great geniuses. A Scottish philosopher, historian, economist, and essayist in the 1700s was one such genius, David Hume. Join me as I dive into the mind of David Hume to uncover what truly made him a genius. One problem that he had was this is to ought dilemma. Hume argued that there's a logical leap or missing link when moving from an is statement to an ought statement. Simply stating facts about the world doesn't automatically provide moral guidance. I think the same thing can be true about people. Just stating facts doesn't necessarily give an insight to their moral guidance or their bring up. David Hume is often regarded as one of the most important figures in the history of philosophy, and for a very good reason. He significantly contributed to the development of empiricism and skepticism, shaping the way we think about knowledge, morality, and human understanding. During Hume's times, philosophers were grappling with some of the most fundamental questions about human knowledge and understanding. How do we know what we know about the world? Is it possible to have certain knowledge? Those are some very difficult questions. These questions were at the forefront of philosophical debate, and Hume's thoughts on these issues were instrumental in shaping the course of philosophical inquiry. One very central challenge of Hume's time was the problem of how to reconcile the limitations of human knowledge with the apparent certainties of mathematical truths, reason, common sense, and logic. Many philosophers, including Rene Descartes, had attempted to address these issues, but Hume's approach was distinctive in its emphasis on the role of experience, observation, in shaping our understanding of the world. He argued that our knowledge is based on habit of mind rather than on rational insight or divine revelation. One thing that I kind of am struggling with when I hear that is I've got neurocardiogenic syndrome. Now I've got to drink a lot of water. I got to stay hydrated. And there's certain things I got to do. Every so often, I will have a spell. I will have an episode to where, to the outsider, it may look like I'm drunk, like I'm intoxicated, when it's just a medical condition. Now, if no one has ever saw me stumbling around, trying to find my way, they would come to the conclusion that there is something wrong with me just because they have not personally experienced it in their own lives or observed a loved one that struggles from this type of mental diagnosis. Basically, I've never seen it, so it doesn't exist. That is kind of like one problem that I find in Hume's, that I think Hume was a genius in that aspect, but I think today's society takes that to a whole nother level. When they see the courts and they see all these things, I've never witnessed it, so therefore the defendant must be making up this defense. In addition to these epistemological concerns, Hume's contemporaries were also debating the nature of moral knowledge. Is morality based on reason, or is it rooted in human settlement and emotion? Hume's own views on this topic were very influential in shaping the development of moral philosophy. And this idea about the role of settlement in moral judgment continued to be debated even to this present day. Emotion. It's kind of interesting on how much when I watch court cases, when I watch things, prosecutors or lawyers try to get under skin on the jury's emotion to be able to make an adequate finding, an adequate verdict based on common sense knowledge and to go through the defendant's history and how they were raised. Hume's thought on the nature of human understanding were also deeply influential. He believed that our understanding of the world is based by our experience and that our concepts of causation, identity, and morality are all rooted in our observation of the world around us. This emphasis on the role of experience in shaping our understanding of reality helped to lay the foundations for later philosophical movements, including an approach that accesses the truth of meaning of theories or beliefs in terms of the success of their practical application, pragmatism, and the science of phenomena as distinct from that of the nature of being, an approach that concentrates on the study of consciousness and the object of direct experience, phenomenology. One of Hume's most famous and enduring contributions to philosophy is his concept of the problem of induction. He argued that our beliefs about the future are based on our experiences of the past, but there is no logical reason to assume that the future will resemble the past. This challenge to our assumptions about causation and induction has had a profound impact on the development of philosophy and continues to be debated by philosophers even in our present age. I remember having, and I'm sure a lot of the society will thinking this way. I don't think this way, but one of the problems that I have is the fact that when there is a offender that commits a crime, that is murder or has mental illness or is abused or whatever the case may be, if they are given a light sentence, kind of like the teen that beat her mother to death, and the prosecution worked with the father, worked with the people to kind of so they hold her accountable, but not lose her for life and have to visit her inside of institution. People will say that that was too light. She'll kill again. You know, the same person that said that to me scrapped thousands upon thousands of parts. Now, he says that they were extra, but you know what? I would have to use his argument that says that the company should not keep him because he made that scrap. It's logical reason to say that he'll just do it again. So why even bother with the write up? Just get rid of him. Well, I'm sure that he would say that that's kind of different. How is it different? You made a mistake. She made a mistake. She, everybody around her, her father, her family and stuff says she has mental illness. There's another case, Carly Gregg. The family around her says she has mental illness and stuff she was not saying at the time of what she did. I will leave a link to this website in the description below if you would love to support Carly Gregg in her appeal, which her family is totally 100% in support of. Now, that being said, I think there are circumstances to where if someone commits a crime and they blow off probation or they don't do what they're supposed to do or they don't do, now that's kind of like saying, well, you've got a history of disobeying court orders. You have a history of disobeying what I said and disobeying and not doing what you're supposed to do. Hume's views on causation were also revolutionary. He argued that our understanding of causation is based on habit and custom rather than on any rational insight into the nature of reality. This approach to causation helped to lay the foundation for later philosophical movements, including positivism. Now, is positivism being positive? No, that's not what it's saying. Positivism is a philosophical, epistemological stance developed by Auguste Comte, asserting that genuine knowledge comes only from imperial, empirical observation and scientific reasoning, rejecting metaphysics and intuition. Basically, what we observe through our experience, our experiment. The theory also is understood to be in laws as a social rule, valid because they are enacted by authority or derived logically from existing decisions, and that ideals or moral considerations should not limit the scope of operation of the law. We see this a lot in the presidents that govern how courts operate. All these things come down to empiricism, the theory that all knowledge is derived from sense experience, the observation, stimulated by the rise of experimental science. Of course, it developed in the 17th and 18th century, expounded in particular by John Locke, George Berkeley, and even our own very own David Hume. Hume's thoughts on human psychology were also influential, and his ideas about the roles of sentiment and emotion in shaping human behavior continue to be debated. Hume's ideas about the nature of knowledge and the reality of true revolutionary and his arguments against the certainty of knowledge continued to resonate. He showed that knowledge is always provisional and that our understanding of the world is shaped by our experience and observation. This emphasis on the fallibility of human knowledge helped to lay the foundations for later philosophical movements, including existentialism, a philosophical theory or approach which emphasizes the existence of the individual person as a free and responsible agent determining their own development through acts of will. And postmodernism, the late 20th century style of concept in the art, architectural, and criticism that represent a departure from modernism and has at its heart a general distrust of grand theories and ideologies of well as a problematic relationship with the notion of art. Hume's lasting impact on philosophy cannot be overstated. His ideas about the nature of knowledge, morality, and human understanding continue to shape the way we think about the world today. From the development of empiricism and skepticism to the emerging of new philosophical movements, Hume's influence can be seen in many areas of philosophical inquiry. His genius lies in his ability to challenge our assumptions about the world and to push the boundaries of philosophical inquiry. His ideas continue to resonate all through various minds, including mine. I like to think about his ideas, his influence. So, what do you think about David Hume's philosophical ideas? Do you think his skepticism about knowledge is justified? Or do you think that we can have certain knowledge about the world? Make sure you leave your comment in the comment section below. And also, don't forget to subscribe. It's very easy, it's free to just support my channel, support me. But as well as a genius that David Hume was, I think at times this idea of empiricism and observation and experience can lead to problems, especially in our judicial system, in our workplace. See you on the next.